The first thing everyone noticed was that he didn't belong there. Ethan Cole froze beside a round table dressed in white linen, crystal glasses glittering under a chandelier that probably cost more than his car. Conversations around him softened, then stalled, eyes flicking to his worn jacket, his scuffed shoes, the nervous way he held the chair as if it might disappear. He checked the small paper card again, heart pounding. Table 12. That was what the text said. He had double-checked it outside, under the cold streetlight, whispering the number like a prayer. He pulled the chair back and sat. A woman across from him blinked in surprise, then frowned. A man beside her leaned closer and whispered something sharp. Ethan felt heat crawl up his neck. This was a mistake. Another one. His life seemed to be made of them lately. He was about to stand and apologize when a calm, commanding voice cut through the room. Leave him. The room fell silent. Ethan looked up and saw her. Sophia Loren stood at the head of the table, tall and composed, dark hair swept back, eyes steady and unreadable. The CEO. The woman whose name was whispered in boardrooms and splashed across business magazines. Billionaire. Powerhouse. Untouchable. She walked toward him, heels clicking softly against marble. Every step felt like a drumbeat in Ethan's chest. You're at the right table, she said, her gaze never leaving his face. Sit. Someone laughed nervously. Someone else protested. Sophia raised a hand, and the noise died instantly. Then she looked at Ethan and said the words that would shatter both of their lives. Marry me, she said quietly. I'll give you $50 million. Or you can leave right now. For a moment, Ethan thought he'd stopped breathing. He stared at her, sure he'd misheard. 50 million. Marry me. His mind scrambled, trying to catch up. This had to be a joke. A cruel test. Some kind of social experiment for the rich. I'm sorry, he said hoarsely. I think there's been a misunderstanding. Sophia studied him closely, as if weighing something invisible. There hasn't. The room felt too small, too bright. Ethan's thoughts flew to his daughter, Lily, waiting at home with the babysitter he could barely afford. Lily with her big eyes and crooked smile, pretending not to notice when he skipped dinner so she could eat. Lily who asked every night if everything was going to be okay. What happens if I say no, he asked. Sophia didn't hesitate. You walk out. Tonight ends. Nothing changes. Ethan swallowed. And if I say yes? Her voice softened, just a fraction. Then both of our lives do. He stood up slowly, every instinct screaming that this was wrong, dangerous, impossible. He didn't belong in her world. He never had. I'm just a single dad, he said quietly. I clean offices at night. I came here because I was told it was a scholarship dinner. I don't even know how I ended up on your guest list. Sophia's eyes flickered. I know exactly who you are. That scared him more than anything. I can't sell myself, he said. Not for money. A murmur rippled through the room. Sophia looked at him for a long moment, then nodded once. Then leave, she said. Ethan hesitated. $50 million could change everything. Lily would never worry again. He could give her safety, education, a future free from fear. But at what cost? He turned toward the exit. Sophia, someone called, shocked. She didn't stop him. He made it 3 steps before her voice stopped him again. Your daughter has a congenital heart condition, she said calmly. The surgery she needs costs more than you'll ever make. Ethan froze. How do you know about Lily? He whispered. Sophia walked closer, her expression unreadable. Because I lost someone I loved to the same condition. And because I don't make offers without knowing exactly why. The room blurred. Ethan felt dizzy. Lily's medical bills, the letters he never opened all the way, the quiet terror that sat in his chest every time she ran too fast or laughed too hard. You don't have to love me, Sophia said softly. This is a contract. A public marriage. You get the money, the best doctors in the world for your daughter. I get what I need. What do you need? He asked. Her jaw tightened. Control. The truth came out slowly over the following weeks. Sophia was under relentless pressure from her board and her investors. They wanted stability, a family image, something that made her seem human instead of ruthless. A marriage would silence them. A real-looking one, with no scandals. Ethan agreed, not because he wanted the money, but because Lily's life was worth more than his pride. The wedding was small but heavily photographed. Headlines exploded overnight. The CEO and the mysterious single father. Speculation ran wild. Ethan kept his head down, smiling when told, signing papers he barely understood. Living in Sophia's world felt like wearing someone else's skin. The mansion echoed with silence. Staff watched him with polite curiosity. Sophia was distant but respectful, giving him space, keeping everything strictly professional. At night, Ethan slept in a separate wing, missing Lily's soft breathing through the wall. She adored Sophia instantly, drawn to her calm strength. Watching them together made something ache inside him. But the challenges came quickly. The media was cruel. They dug into his past, mocking his job, his clothes, his lack of education. Online comments called him a gold digger, a fraud, a charity case. Sophia never defended him publicly. It hurt more than he expected. At work, executives tested him, speaking over him, dismissing his presence. At parties, he stood alone, a decorative accessory on Sophia's arm. One night, after a particularly brutal interview aired, Ethan snapped. "I'm not invisible," he said, standing in her office, hands shaking. "You don't get to use me and pretend I don't exist." Sophia looked up, surprised. This was the agreement. "No," he said. The agreement was marriage, not humiliation. Silence stretched between them. Finally, Sophia exhaled. "I don't know how to let people in," she admitted. "Everyone I trust eventually wants something." Ethan laughed bitterly. "You bought me. Of course I wanted something. I wanted my daughter to live." Her face softened, guilt flashing across it. "I never meant to hurt you." Change came slowly after that. Sophia began standing beside him instead of ahead of him. She corrected reporters who belittled him. She listened when he spoke. She started coming home earlier, sitting with Lily to help with homework, learning her favorite stories. Ethan saw another side of her too. The woman who worked until dawn. The loneliness she hid behind confidence. The grief she carried quietly. When Lily's surgery finally happened, Sophia sat beside Ethan in the hospital, holding his hand through every terrifying update. When the doctor came out smiling, Ethan broke down, sobbing into Sophia's shoulder. For the first time, the contract felt meaningless. Love crept in without permission. But fear followed close behind. The board found out. They accused Sophia of losing focus, of letting emotions cloud her judgment. They threatened to remove her unless she proved the marriage was a sham, a strategic move with no personal attachment. Sophia faced a choice she had never expected. She could protect her empire by discarding Ethan. Or she could risk everything. The night she told him, Ethan already knew. "I'll leave," he said quietly. "You've done enough for us." Sophia shook her head, tears in her eyes. "I don't want you to leave. Then you'll lose everything." "Maybe," she said. "But I won't lose myself." At the board meeting, Sophia stood tall. "This marriage began as a contract," she said. "But it became real. If that disqualifies me, then so be it." The room erupted. Hours later, she walked out uncertain of her future. Ethan waited for her at home, Lily asleep between them on the couch. When Sophia walked in, exhausted and vulnerable, Ethan stood and pulled her into an embrace. "I don't care about the money," he said. "I care about us." Sophia laughed through tears. "Good. Because I might be unemployed." The board backed down days later. Public support had surged. People saw a different Sophia now. A human one. Their story shifted from scandal to inspiration. Months passed. The contract was quietly destroyed. One evening, as the sun dipped low, Sophia knelt in front of Ethan, holding a simple ring. "No money," she said softly. "No deals. Just me." Ethan smiled, tears in his eyes. "I choose you." Sometimes, life changes because you